Hello, my name is Mercy, and today I'm going to get very vulnerable with you. And I'm talking about grieving. Um, on 26th of October 2023, in the early dawn of the day, I don't know how to explain, but I lost my dad. I had taken him for a checkup, if I may say, and he passed on without any explanations. And yeah, that was basically how it happened. And it wasn't at a fault of, I wouldn't say medical negligence or anything, because I even had to prompt them that I can't feel him again. And when that happened, my mind was all about, oh, daddy, but I call him Baba. So I was like, oh, Baba is not okay. Let me make sure he's okay. So from transporting him to the mortuary to following up documentations and making sure that the right chemicals were being applied, from them waiting till his body was moved from the cabin, the mortuary cabin, to the fridge. I waited all that. Even though they asked me to leave, I wanted to be very sure that he was actually taken inside, to calling my uncles, informing them that this is what has happened, and they should find a way to tell my mother. And it wasn't an easy experience, but I can't remember feeling it. My emotions were frozen, and it is now that I actually understand that as at then my emotions were frozen, but then all I could think about is my dad is not okay. Let me try my possible best to make sure he's okay. And so there were times that I could wake up at dawn, go to the mortuary before leaving to work, and there were times that I could leave work and go to the mortuary before coming home. And so I buried my emotions and in all the activities that were going on. And so I didn't give myself the time or the opportunity to grieve. All I wanted to do is I saw it as a project and I needed to perform it. And if you know my dad is such a person that he wants you to do things that will make him proud. He's always proud of his children. And so I wanted everything to be done in accordance of respect to him. And so when everything was done, even in the process, I think in the process from time to time, I broke down, but not in the presence of people that I really wanted them to see me vulnerable. So I had two actual people that I could speak to, and sometimes when they asked me, it wasn't the death of or the departure of my dad that made me to break down as a couple of times, but it was the goodness that he extended to people who were extending wickedness or were trying to ask that we give them the opportunity so that they can take their pound of flesh on what they presume to be, and me not letting that be. And I felt that human beings can be very ungrateful, and that no matter what you do to them, no matter how much you drain your blood for them, they may not reciprocate that to you. And it was quite hurtful watching this, because I know how much my dad has poured his blood to everyone that stayed with him. He had this big heart. He wasn't that perfect, but he had a big heart. He was the type that could go over and beyond just to make sure that you get your education. He was the type that would sacrifice his all. he wasn't he didn't know whether you are from his or not. All he wanted is that people within his clan should get the right kind of education. And so there are places that he would even direct you to go and seek information that you'll be surprised that he knows about. And so watching such kind of person, someone trying to take his presumed pound of flesh on that person kind of didn't sit well with me. And so it was quite hurtful. But apart from that, I didn't feel anything. I was there when the the grave was dug. I was there when um, the grave was cemented. I was there when the body was put to rest, and I watched everything till the sun was covered on the coffin and all that, and I felt nothing. All my focus then was everything should be done in a befitting manner, in the correct way, sorry. And after everything was done, and I had to move back from the cemetery to the house, I think that was when I started feeling that he's gone, and he's gone, but the pain wasn't the grief process. I think I started on freezing after the traditions. There is a burial, then there is a traditions that needs to be done after the burial. After some of the traditions were done, it was there that I started feeling or unfreezing my emotions. And I wouldn't say that it's been almost 1.5 years, and I wouldn't say I have unfrozen my emotions, but there have been days that I cry, and I'm still grieving. Okay, I'm still grieving. The pain is still there. I've come to realize that regardless of everything that happens, grief doesn't have a period, because in my head I wanted to grieve him after everything has been sorted out. I'll take, say, a month or some weeks, go to the beach, cry my heart out, and proceed with my life. But then I came to realize that grief doesn't have a duration, and that it is not something that you can determine when you should grieve and when you should not grieve. It's something that, especially if you are very close and you are dear to the person, it's a form of a detachment. There is a pain within your heart, within your chest, and an is an excruciating pain that wouldn't go away. It lingers on, and you can't really explain it. That's for sure. You can't really explain the pain, but it's a pain that is I'm trying to find words to explain it. It's a pain that doesn't go away. Sometimes you don't feel it. Other times it's there. I've had suggestions from people who recommended that I should do alcohol, perhaps to relax my nerves, to sleep and all that. And I've had suggestions of trying sex, but getting getting intimate with people, and forgetting my pain. And I thought about them, but they were not things that I really want to get myself into. And in our Ghanaian culture, I came to realize that when you are grieving, you get a lot of suitors. You have people come. Sorry, but I need to mention it. You have people, I'm a lady, so you have men approaching you and offering you comfort and telling you that they know the right words. Sorry, it's quite funny, but you have people telling you they know the right words, they know the right spot to hit, they know how to handle you, and in an intimacy way that can that can um, sort of help you cope with or forget about your pain. And it's quite funny. I've met quite a lot of you and very dignified people, and it's quite embarrassing, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So I came to understand that sometimes you see that kids that lose their parents and they become wayward. Sometimes it's in an attempt to overcome the grief because it's quite painful. I have one of the things that I would, to be sincere, I would say sometimes lighten my mood is sometimes I take cod liver capsules and it helps me to sleep because from time to time I see myself lingering around lingering around um, the grave. It's sort of like watching over his his tomb. And I don't know what it means, but I'm still praying over it. And then another mechanism I used is prayer and then the word of God. I chanced upon so many scriptures, so many women in the Bible that went through pain and overcame it. And that has been my source of motivation. And another thing that has been my source of motivation is because I do blog from time to time, even though I don't write about my pain, because in actual fact this is my first time sitting behind the camera to actually talk about it, because I'm the type that I don't like sharing my personal or intimate experience with the world. And so my dad was one of my strongholds. I covered because I believed when you expose your sanctuary, people are likely to contaminate it. And so I covered him. I don't expose my personal kind of lifestyle. I try to cover it because I don't know how the world, um, I believe in protecting, and my mindset is when I protect, it grows. And so it wasn't even sharing him with the world, having to have uncles contribute about decisions that needed to be taken, things that were not favorable to me or favorable to him. It was kind of painful to me to actually see them, because I had people talking about him in a negative manner and it didn't sit well with me. But then I came to realize that people have their opinions. People cannot always be grateful to you, no matter how much you drain your blood for them. And basically, yes. So I had this kind of mindset that was trying to pull me into lack of a better word, trying to hurt myself in order to cope with the pain. So for some time, I had this mindset of getting a tattoo and getting a very painful one, and maybe getting it around my chest, around somewhere like it wasn't not really a tattoo that would go away, but a tattoo that that before I could actually have the tattoo, like it should pierce. I should have like a needle kind of tattoo, and so these were the kind of things, and so it draws my attention to the realization that a lot of people handle grief in so many ways. And so when you see someone who has lost something, okay, lost, especially with the demise of a loved one, and you see them with tattoos, you see them living lives that were not actually them earlier on, it tells you that they are in pain and they don't know whom to confide in. And so, in order to cope with the pain, they choose this kind of things, substance abuse and all the lifestyle vices that are not helpful. And it's not an easy journey, because once the person, especially when you are heavily involved, if you've been to the mortuary, you've seen how the dead are being handled, you see how there are loads of people in the mortuary, you see how people are dying, you see how family situations handle funerals and all that. If you're not lucky, you might fall into depression. And it made me to realize that therapy in Ghana is not cheap. That's number one, and it's not common. I doubt if they are, but if they are, I think they are not making a lot of advertisement for people to, or encouraging people to come, because people are genuinely grieving and they don't know the way forward. And so I'm kind of using this also as a channel to encourage all therapists to promote their work out there, so that make it open, so that people, and accessible, so that people that are grieving can actually um, um, utilize or access their facility. Yes, so those are some of the things I went through. And then you have situations where you may have to go through preparation of affairs. In instances where there is no will, you have to go for the you have to go to the court and get a lawyer if possible, or go to the judicial service, speak to them about your situation. You have a parent, and especially when the person has a property, his demise, then there is no will, so you are trying to access, because you can't access any of his properties, especially with the bank or any investment, without an ally. So you may need to go to the court to get the LI done. In instances where the person has net benefit or any other insurance benefit, you may need to go and ask them for their requirement and facilitate. I know some insurance companies request for death certificates, and some will even frustrate you. If care is not taken, you are likely to lose your investment. But this is my challenge. It is your investment, and if you need to take it, don't give it to them, because I'm the type that I really don't I'm not comfortable with people trying to cheat people. It's not in my blood. And we have people setting up companies, taking people's investments. When it's time for them to claim it, they kind of bring out mechanisms that will frustrate you and make you to leave it. But if your parents have an investment, please follow it through. You are trying your possible best to give him or her the needed respect. And so these are some of the things I went through, and how I coped by it. So the suggestions that people gave me, for instance, alcohol, sex, and all those things, I was able to cope through it, because I realized that biblical wise, it wouldn't help me. Moral wise, it's not the best. And health wise, too much of these things, or say alcohol, at the end of the day, you are likely to have liver complications. You may even end up becoming a drunkard. Okay, and it means that because this is not the end, to every point in time of your life when you face grief, your place of rescue would be alcohol. But I thank God that I know God, and one of the things my dad didn't leave us with much, but he left us in the hands of God, and so God was my refuge. He was someone that I ran to from time to time. As much as I can, I can or I could, I was just talking to God as if every time God, this is what is happening. I ask that you come true for me. And he never left me. He never left us. Okay. So if you are going through grieving, take time to grieve, take time to heal, because the pain will never go away. That's number one. It will always be there. I don't know, I see others within the clan that have moved on, but I haven't. Maybe because of my closeness with them. But I don't know how they managed to do this. But with me, I haven't. But I have come to realize that the pain is still in my heart. But just as God told Eliab, that I'm going to take your children away, but make sure you don't cry. And then I think there was another scripture that says that make sure you don't cry, make sure you don't look. And I came to the conclusion that if even Eliab was not even given the opportunity to grieve, and I was given the opportunity to grieve, who am I to question God? And so, looking back, I would say having a father is not everybody who gets the opportunity to have, especially a biological father figure in their life. Some people, by I would for some people lost theirs at a very tender age, and others refuse to be in their lives. And so, if you have it, it's a blessing that should not be underestimated, and it's an opportunity that should not be taken for granted. And regrettably so, there are quite some people that feel like it's mandatory to have the presence of a father, or to have them in all perfections. Now, one thing we need to all understand is that as they age, okay, just as we have midlife crisis, and because we are in a different generation, just as they are also in a different generation, as they are aging and we are also aging, our level of understanding things and comprehending situations may be quite different from theirs. And so we need to be patient with them. We need to restrain and be measured in how we conduct ourselves or speak about them. And in instances whereby there is misunderstanding, we need to accommodate their opinion and also express ours, and then based on it, a mutual conclusion can be forged. Sorry. And sometimes we may not have the same opinion, we may not be of the same viewpoint, but we need to understand that regardless, nobody, nobody, no spiritual leader, no uncle, no whatsoever can replace, can replace in capital letters your father figure in your life. Nobody. And so I had issues. I had issues I wouldn't want to go in details about, but I still have issues with religious heads who try to make their members feel like they are more important as compared as against that of the members' parent, and some even kind of give the notion that, oh, your parents are witches, they are those doing you, and as against theirs. There are people that these religious people, there are some that will hail their parents, will cover them up, and yet they don't want you to even extend kindness to your parent. They take much of your time that they don't pay for, and yet they don't want you to spend some time with your parent. So you have from Monday to Friday you are in the church, Saturday, Sunday you are doing activities for the church, and so there is less time to even have conversations with your parent, and it's quite sad, especially in the Christian faith. I am a Christian, so I'm only talking about that because that's what I know. But it's quite sad. It saddens my heart for such situations, and it was one of the lessons I learned, that family first. I cannot and will not prioritize any other thing as over my parents, over my family, over my loved ones. They must always come first. When they go, I will catch cold. I wouldn't lie to you, because the pain I feel now, if anybody was to talk about it, I would feel like, oh, they are just exaggerating it. But trust me, if you go through such experiences and you make adjustment, you would understand where I am coming from, that you can't replace them. So fortunately for me, I still have my mom alive. I have other people that I consider as father figure and mother figure in my life. But and they are blood. Okay, they are blood, they are blood. And I respect them, I prioritize them. I'm not saying I don't prioritize religious hairs, but my family comes first. I'm sorry. My family will always come first. Okay, my family, my loved ones will always come first, because I know that when it comes to yours, you also do the same. And so you can't tell me not to look after my parents, no. And so I sort of also came to have the notion of, we have couples getting married and one couple is insisting that the other couple shouldn't take care of their parents and all that. And it's something I'm not in alignment with. I believe that before you actually meet this person, okay, they had their mother, they had their father who was kind of taking care of them. And so if from time to time maybe they have to pay the bill, you don't need them to die to organize funeral. The money that you can use to buy the coffin, why don't you make the poor woman or the poor man comfortable now, so that if they depart one day, you can just have a simple funeral, rather than watching them go through. Or it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing. And sometimes I've come to internalizing these things. I've come to realize that I don't blame much. It's because people are reading books from the Westerns and they are pushing it down to Africa. And we have counselors expressing opinions and views that they haven't been through. And if you just take it without any measure, you are likely to go through or hurt people that in future you wouldn't be comfortable, or you live with the guilt for the rest of your life. And I'm always grateful that I was kind to him. There is no way you can tell me not to do these things and I will listen to you. I was kind to him, but even at that, see the pain I went through. So, and I just want to urge you. I don't know the kind of relationship you have with your mom or your dad, and whatever be situation or your aunties, just make peace with them. They are aging and they are quite difficult, very, very difficult to stay with, very difficult to understand. There are certain petty, petty things that you expect them to just get it, and they are not getting it. It's because they are reversing, and now they are going back to the kid nature of them. And so sometimes it's quite difficult to get them in alignment. It's quite difficult, and most times when they are getting to the grave, they tend to share money. They tend to share. So you give them, and some have dementia. So you give them and they say you never did. It's one of those things. So you need to just create memories with them. Create as many memories as you can. If you are not anywhere close to them, and by nature of academics or career, you are in a different continent and they are there from time to time, just call them. Make it a duty to call them. It may not be something that you are comfortable with, but keep calling them. Just keep calling. I see it as a blessing. You see the time where there was this prophet, I don't know whether it's Elijah or Elisha, but one of them was departed and was being taken up to heaven. And along the line, when they were going, okay, his servant was following him, and he was asking the servant to depart, and he kept following him, and he followed to the very end of it, and he received the mantle. And one of the lessons I learned is that as they are journeying through towards the grave, they kind of make things quite difficult for us so that we don't follow them to get the blessings. And if you listen to your emotions, you are likely to forgo everything and let it be. But trust me, it's well following them. Just be patient. If you don't take care of them, who else would? So be patient with them and be encouraged. I encourage you to go with them all through to the very end. It may be difficult, it may be time consuming, it may be quite challenging, financially draining, but in as much as you can, okay, if you can't be always present with them, especially during their last days, and you have a child that you may feel as quite comfortable to let them stay with them, to take care of them, please do. Otherwise, get them a helper. Let them be with somebody. If you are not comfortable with having them stay with you, get them a helper and make their life easy for them. Because understand, everything that you have came from them. You are their dividends. You are their investment. Unless perhaps they didn't take care of you, but even at that, you are not the one to take your pound of flesh. Okay, you are not the one to take your pound of flesh. Just make sure that the needed things that makes you a Christian is done, and the Lord bless you for doing that. And I pray that God will give you strength, and that when the Lord calls, you will not regret. Thank you, and stay tuned.